and welcome to another episode of The Wannabe Entrepreneur, the podcast about what's really like to bootstrap a company. Today, I'm back to interviewing. It's been a while. I did a little break, but we are restarting with a great player, a great indie maker. His name is Kilian Poulin. I hope I said your name correct. How do you say your last name, actually?
Last name is Poulin, yeah. It's
Poulin.
more French,
I knew it.
more like a French pronunciation.
Yeah, I was thinking, it's Poulin, but then, okay. Kilian Poulin, welcome to the show, Kilian. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's definitely my pleasure. We'll learn a lot from you for sure. Kilian is working in a company called Mark Copy. Basically helps content creators to create great content, and we all know that great content is also an amazing tool to do marketing. He started coding when he was 10, and he met his co-founder in college, the first day of college, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And today we'll be speaking about that journey. This company is already making 13K MRR. So Kilian is definitely doing something right, and we are going to figure out what he's doing. So Kilian, again, welcome to the show. And I would ask you to do a little introduction about yourself. Who is Kilian?
All right. Well, thank you. So, like my entrepreneurial journey started officially like right after graduating, but like before, I think like most tech founders, I started doing many projects, more like in my bedroom, not really doing any marketing, but just like building platforms, building websites, different projects, maybe weird ideas, but that didn't go anywhere. And so after graduating, or like the last year of my engineering studies, I started to be more serious about it. I started to learn more about startups. And also when I was doing my internship, I don't know what's the name, I got a call from a friend from engineering school that kind of invited me to start working on a project. For me, that was the beginning of everything, because I was waiting for a call like this. I've been waiting for this forever. It was so perfect. Like I immediately accepted because like it was a good friend, a great project. And we started working together, and now he's still my co-founder. So we've built like two big products together, like a kind of a third one in the middle that was not really big. I've been more focused like on the tech part, and that's where I am working on Mark Copy now.
You said you built a lot of other projects before for college, but they were not really successful. Why is that?
They were not successful. I don't even know if I tried to make them successful. Like it was that time where I was like so inspired by some stories and stuff about startup that we can read, that I just tried to find an idea and build a website. And once I built a website, maybe I was moving on to the next idea without trying to have people using it. But I was just so proud to have a beautiful website, beautiful platform.
You're more into building stuff, right? You just wanted to build a website. You want to see. You're excited about the technology and about tech and about coding. And what attracted you to coding? Like, what is something that you like about it?
Just building stuff. Of course, like when you build stuff, your goal is still to have people using it. But you just maybe like when you're too passionate about the tech, you will just try like just to build the most beautiful website and not get users at all, and maybe you just forget about the end goal. And
so it never frustrated you not to have users in those early on projects?
It did. More like when I came to engineering school, that's where like I was maybe 20, 21, and like I was like, okay, I'm building stuff for what? Like, why am I working for? And so that's when I started to try to get users with in weird ways, like just posting links, on internet, like
not writing content yet. I guess.
Not yet. Yeah. I learned this maybe too late. Everyone learns it too late.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll definitely talk about that, about the marketing part. After college, did you go work for someone else before getting that famous call?
Well, actually, the way it works in engineering schools in France is that we have a 6 months internship at the end,
Yeah.
and that's like kind of real job because we do the same thing as a, like in my case as a software engineer, it was the same thing. So I actually worked like in a startup in Portugal at that time,
Oh,
and
what was the name?
it's a French startup, like a very small French startup for the French market. So
Why was it in Portugal?
I think for the lifestyle, better than Paris.
Okay.
And yeah, so I worked there. So like kind of like a software engineering job, and like after COVID hit, and I came back to France, and it was like the perfect moment, kind of, to start a business. I felt because yeah, like it was a weird situation with COVID. No one was going to go to like less people hiring and a weird situation. So yeah, we started to be full
This was
time.
recent. It was what, 2 years, 3 years
Yeah,
ago?
2 years ago. Yeah, it's quite recent. Yeah,
So you're a super young entrepreneur.
I mean I'm 24.
Yeah, that's super young, no? I think
It's
that's
not super. It's not like I started after high school.
with 24 making 13K as an entrepreneur. I think that's definitely a success case. Congrats for that. It means that in the last, I guess, 2 years, you said that you built 3 big projects so far.
Well, two big projects, and like one project was related to the first one and very small. We even stopped it like just after, almost after finishing it. So I would say really two big projects. Yeah,
So, and the second then was Mark.
yeah, that's it.
Okay, let's talk about the first ones because I wanna hear that.
You like failures?
Yeah, I think we learn from both. Sometimes you learn more from failures than from successes.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Tell me about this first project of yours, one that did not work.
So yeah, the first one, it was a project for like related to e-commerce. So we built like a Shopify app actually to help e-commerce stores do some advertisements on Facebook, on Google, especially Facebook actually, because like if you take the example of dropshippers, like it's all based on ads, and also small e-commerce stores, they really need ads to get some sales quite quickly. And like my co-founder actually had a marketing agency before making that call, and so he knew stuff about this. He had quite some experience with it, so like we knew we could help them doing that. Like they needed, because most of them don't have much knowledge in um, marketing or ads. So we wanted to build like an app where they could really build it easily. Just give us a few information about their products, and just like do the rest for them, trying to optimize their ads and things like that.
Okay, this is super cool because you're basically speaking about a no marketing tool. One thing that I've noticed when I started as a full-time indie maker 1 year ago was that a lot of indie makers, they are terrible at marketing. There's this running gag. We are like Dagobert, for instance, super famous for making memes around marketing. And I always told my friends as a joke that we should create a no marketing tool. A tool that you can install and easily make marketing. It's basically what you've been doing, right? You also have done that with Mark, and we'll speak about that. But now you're trying to do that for Shopify apps, which is super interesting. So why did it fail?
There are so many reasons, because it was our first projects, but I think the main one was just finding the right audience, and we didn't focus at all on this, so we were kind of all over the place, and we kind of switched audience many times, because at first we were like, okay, we're going. I mean, me personally, I was trying to target people who are kind of like me, so more like the consumer type, the small e-commerce store that is just starting and trying to make money with it, trying to make a living with their e-commerce store. And of course, like that's quite a bad idea, because they don't have much knowledge about marketing, and they don't really know how it works, how much time it takes to have some results and things like that. They don't have much money either. So a very bad audience to target to start with. And then we also had like we also tried to target like bigger businesses, but maybe too early as well, because we had like zero MRR, and we had an MVP, but like the MVP maybe would not answer their needs, you know. um so yeah, like we were totally wrong about the audience in every way, and the timing of where we would reach out to that audience. And
Yeah, yeah,
actually something happened like at some point, is that, you know, when you have an app on Shopify, at some point you get some organic traffic, and actually quite a lot. Like it works quite well, and the people you get is mostly like these small e-commerce stores. And when it's your first time creating like a SaaS, you're like, wow, I get users so easily, so great. So like, let's build a product for them, because I don't need to do marketing. Like they come at me. Like I don't need to go get them.
yeah,
But the problem is that these shops were like people who were just starting. They didn't know anything about marketing, and if they didn't have results with their ads like in a few days, they would just quit, or maybe they would even like run out of money after spending like $50 a day or something. And yeah, so it was totally the wrong audience.
was the product good? Was the product solving the problem?
Yeah, the product at the beginning was, I think, was not good because we didn't focus on the right problem. But in the end, it was quite good with maybe too many features, but like it was quite good. Could do a lot. Just like people were expecting fast results, quick results, and that's not the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Marketing that we are all hope that there's a magic button that one can click and suddenly have paying users coming every day, but unfortunately it just does not exist. You just mentioned something that I've been discovering, which is really important, especially I think for bootstrappers, which is to start with finding your audience. This is something that we never actually learned, and I don't know if you followed like startup podcasts and read books. Normally, no one mentions this. Normally, they speak that you need to build your product, you need to build your MVP closer to an audience, but they never really say that you should start with the audience, finding the audience, understanding what's their problems, even before writing one line of code. So I do believe that this is a big mistake that all of us do because we just do not know better. But the more people I interview, the more I understand that it's really important to start by finding an audience. And in this case, this was your problem with your first company or your first project. Did you correct that for Mark copy?
Like we totally corrected it. Like we fixed it. Like I think I don't remember if we did it like naturally, or if we really thought about this. Like we need to find the right audience. But the way we did it is like, because we were using GPT-3, and so like every free trial had a cost. So I think naturally we thought like we can't open up the app too much, otherwise like we'll spend a lot of money and we don't know if we can convert them.
What is, for the audience, what is GPT-3?
Yeah, so like it's a model, like it's OpenAI is the company that has that created GPT-3, a model to generate content. And so yeah, basically like since we had this cost, we didn't want to open up too much, so we had a private beta, and so we would reach out to people and we would like only grant them access if they were interested.
Okay, but you already had a product.
Yeah, so we had the product first. Yeah, it's true.
Well, why did you build it? Like, what was the problem you're trying to solve? Let's first describe what is actually MarkCopy.ai, right? So, would you mind doing a little pitch?
Well, yeah, I think it can also answer this question. It's like we were still working on our first product, and even like the second small one, and we were having a lot of difficulties to write content for the first product. Like we're trying to have a blog post, trying to write guides, because people needed to be educated. Like our users really needed that content, and we needed it for SEO too. And it was so difficult. Like we tried to do it ourselves, we tried to hire a freelancer, but both were like either costly or very time consuming. And then like we got access to GPT-3, like kind of just like that, like kind of a random thing. So we tried it.
Which sounds like magic. Like GPT-3, I don't know if for the people that didn't use it, it allows you to basically write some key points. For instance, you just write, I want to write a blog post about, I don't know, cards. And then it basically writes stuff, like really like interesting stuff. It really looks like magic. It looks out of this world. So it's super exciting to have early access to it.
Yeah, and you can, like, the thing with GPT-3 is like you can kind of change some settings, like you can make it more creative, you can make it more specific to a topic. You can really play around with it and so get the content you need in the end. So there's really it's really fun to play with, and then the result is also helpful. So when we discovered this, like, we were like, okay, we need to build something with it. And so it could actually work with our first product. But we decided like not to make the first product too big, like it's kind of like a new app. So we were like, okay, we're just going to build a third app, very indie hacker, style, because like the hackers love to build many products. And so like we were like, third product, cool. Like if we combine all of them, like we will have some good MRR. And so, yeah, so we started doing that. And actually, like, we used it for our own marketing, but we also found that people were interested when we talked about it to like other startup founders, just curious, like, okay, how can it really help? And so like we were like, okay, that's cool. We're going to try it out and market it as well. And we kind of messed up that part. So I'm going to go back actually to the original question about like the audience, but we kind of messed up that part because like we were like, okay, we're going to sell it to freelancers, to content writers, because they write content all the time. So
Right,
like
yeah.
they need to save time, they need to save, and that didn't work out at all.
Okay, why?
Because like they were scared of, like, the problem is the word AI. It's a bit scary for some people. Like it might replace some jobs, and it's like they're really scared, especially that no one knew Mark Copy. Like it was like a new thing coming from nowhere. So like there was no way to trust it. Like, so it's really something that's going to replace all the jobs. And
so what are like the main features of Mark Copy?
The main feature is like to write long form content. So basically blog posts, guides, that are optimized for SEO. So we have an SEO feature on top of that, which is so not related to GPT-3. So like really like just to help you have a good structure, some keywords, just to help you rank it better and on relevant keywords. And so, yeah, that's the main feature. And after, you can also use it for other purposes like social media, maybe some brainstorming of posts, emails, things like that. We have a few other different tools that are like more short form contents, but the long form content is like the core feature of Mark Copy.
But can you like give me an example on how to use it? Like a specific example, like, so let's say I want to write something about entrepreneurship, for instance. How would this app help me?
So actually, it's a good example because, like, if you come just with one topic, like even one word, like maybe your audience is wants to know things about entrepreneurship, then you're just going to use one of our tools, type entrepreneurship, and you will get some blog post ideas or guide ideas. And so you get the title with it. And once you get the title, you can start to generate the introduction and the outline. And the outline will be like the direction where you're going with the guide. And then you can continue to generate content. So we have different tools like Paragraph, for example, that will help you to build another part of the guide or the blog post. So we kind of build blocks by blocks.
I was like, I'm listening to it, and it's too good to be true, too good to believe. Like, how good is the quality of this content? Because one thing that I've heard when I started checking this kind of content, and in the WB space, people were sharing it, and we're like, this is super cool. But then this question arises, which was, first of all, is this SEO friendly, right? Because at some point, everyone will be writing about entrepreneurship. It's super easy to write. You just have to type one word. What is the diversity of this content? Would like in the end, wouldn't we have like all similar blog posts out there?
Yeah, so that was like the one of the first questions we got, and this is like easy to answer because like it's really like it's really creative. This AI is creative, so it's not like someone else is going to generate a exact same content with the same by entering the same thing, like by typing entrepreneurship. They're not going to get the same results. So that's really for sure. And also like another thing we had to answer is like about is it like can we find the same content on Google? And so yeah, that's also something that it's not the case. Like it's really content that is created by the AI. So we added like a tool that's to check like the plagiarism scan, like to have a plagiarism scan with a score, and like people can see that it's always like 0% or like maybe it can go to like 2 or 3%, but not more than this. And so yeah, it's like creative. So
I was like, I'm listening to it, and it's too good to be true, too good to believe. Like, how good is the quality of this content? Because one thing that I've heard when I started checking this kind of content, and in the WB space, people were sharing it, and we're like, this is super cool. But then this question arises, which was, first of all, is this SEO friendly, right? Because at some point, everyone will be writing about entrepreneurship. It's super easy to write. You just have to type one word. What is the diversity of this content? Would like in the end, wouldn't we have like all similar blog posts out there?
The goal of More Copy is not like to generate your blog post, you copy paste and you post it. So the goal is like maybe you're going to spend like a few minutes. If you really want to have a long guide, the beautiful guide, you're going to spend maybe 30 minutes on it. But you're not going to generate your whole blog post and like just close your eyes while it generates. It's not like you could do it, but this is what you're saying.
I'm picturing that now. I'm picturing some developer like typing something, closing, please, 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 and then opening their eyes and like, wow, 1,000 words.
You can do it, actually. You can do it, but I don't recommend doing that because it's the content is not going to be great, or actually I feel like it's not really bad, but it's probably not going in the direction you want it to go. Like it's going to be maybe too creative and start to talk about other topics or things like that. That's why like you have to build blocks by blocks. You see.
Can we compare it with an IDE for coding, right? So when you're using an IDE, you start typing something, and then it generates code or autocorrects or something like that, and it helps you, right? You can also just go to Stack Overflow and copy paste all the code, but it wouldn't work or wouldn't be as good. But if you just use the IDE and then use their autocomplete features, then you write code much faster and it's still with great quality. Is it like somehow similar for content creators?
It's actually quite similar because we have a button that is called like write more, and so you can just like select the like maybe one sentence and click write more, and it's going like to expand like the sentence, so just to expand your idea. So it's kind of the same thing, like that's like the kind of autocompletes. And like also we also generate like blocks, so like more like paragraph or introduction.
Yeah.
But this is the same, like you're probably going to edit some parts, and like that, I mean, that's your responsibility kind of. If you want to have a quality article, like you should just focus on saving time, but not like on saving like too much time. Like you have to make it like good.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like our customers that are really like using it daily, they don't like just press buttons and just copy paste. Like they spend maybe 30 minutes on their article, but in the end, like they have a quality article, and no one will tell the difference because like they still like
Amazing.
yeah.
How much time do they save actually?
We say like 3 times faster, but we try to get some feedback. We try to record some feedback from customers, and I think it just depends on how much experience they have in writing content.
You ever try to like do a competition, like get one person to write the same topic, same topic, same kind of blog post, and then one with a mark copy and the other one without it, and like just compare?
We didn't do it, but we're planning to do like kind of something like that, something a bit fun.
It would be really fun, like a YouTube video doing that. That would be super fun.
I think so too. Yeah, it's and also like we should have kind of a competition where we kind of grade like the results, which blog post is better, to see if like the
you
AI
could have judges.
Exactly, like because the goal of the AI is also like to brainstorm some ideas. So like you're going to be able to maybe have more ideas, maybe the blog post will be more creative. Like in 30 minutes, it will be much more creative than the other one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have to say, I'm super excited to try the product now because it's really solving a problem. I mean, it's a no marketing tool somehow, or it's in that scope. One thing that I need to understand though, you said that you didn't have an audience for starting the product. You started the product because you were excited about this technology. Were you already using Twitter, or already in this realm of like indie makers? Were you already there or not?
So I wasn't much in the world of indie hackers because I really didn't know them. I was I started really joining Twitter before I started the first line of code of the MVP. So like, I was like, I'm going to build it in public. I'm going to build the whole thing in public because I started to see some people doing it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to join this. But at the beginning, it was a bit difficult. And that's like when we really started to find the right audience, that's where I was really much more active.
And before that, were you somehow connected with the Shopify owners and Shopify app builders? Were you like communicating with them regularly or not so much?
We were in many Facebook groups. Like Facebook groups were a good channel for this. Like there's lots of people who try to help each other in this industry. We had like many demos with like really video calls with Shopify store owners.
Right.
But yeah, like we were not like we didn't have our own Shopify store. But before, my co-founder like was kind of in the e-commerce. Like he tried to do some e-commerce before, so he also knew some people who were in this like industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did that help you to validate or to know that Mark Copy could be a good idea even before starting? Because you spoke with so many people that needed content, that needed to do marketing. Was it some a differentiator factor, something that helped you before building your product?
Yeah, I think it gave us motivation like to go further and even like to drop the first product. Like we dropped it quite quickly because like we had so many people who seemed to be interested, but it's like people, they validate your idea by saying yeah, that would be great, but then after they don't show up. So yeah, it gives it gave some motivation, but then it didn't help much to get like the first users.
So you built the MVP. You started targeting freelancers at first, but you said it didn't work. What does that mean? Like they were not paying. You were not getting people in your website. Why didn't it work?
So we had a great way to figure it out. I realized later that it was a great way, but it really was. Like we had we asked for the credit card up front, so they had to enter their credit card to start a free trial, and like people were just not signing up, like not starting a free trial. So that was a good sign. Like they were curious. When we talked to them, like they wanted to try the tool, but when they had to enter their credit card, it was like a big no. Like no, why? Like we knew like maybe they had the problem, but they didn't want to solve it this way.
Yeah, but it could also be that it's such a new product that people where they didn't believe that it could actually solve. It couldn't match what it was selling, so they didn't want to give their credit card data. Because now I realize that you do not ask for the credit card data.
Yeah, we stopped. We still kept it for 6 months, but at some point it was like too limiting. But yeah, like maybe at the time we didn't know like this credit card upfront meant something, but we switched to another audience. So we started to target different people when we were stuck like with very few users.
How did that affect you? How did that affect your motivation? You built this awesome product, you release it to your target audience, and no one is converting, no one is paying.
It's really strange because we found value in the product, so we were kind of confident because of that, and also really like just same thing as now. Like if I talk about the idea and I talk about what it does, people are like, wow, and that's like a kind of a huge motivation when you see people that are like, wow, like they have wow faces. But really strange that people don't want to try the product. And so that's where we realized like we're just going to target this people like us, like just founders.
And then you switched to a different audience. Where did you find them? On Twitter or?
Yeah, so actually it was very easy to switch because the only way we were having users was either post on LinkedIn or Twitter, but we had a very, very tiny audience, so like it didn't really bring users. What really bring users was like just sending DMs on LinkedIn or Twitter, mostly on LinkedIn. And so we could target exactly who we wanted. Like we saw a content writer in the title, like we were going to send a message. And then later we saw a startup founder, we were going to send a message.
What kind of message? You figure out how to properly send this kind of cold messages? Because I've tried it and it's super hard.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what was the message, but I guess like we tried a bunch of things too, and the best way is like to just show them the value they can get with the product and try to get them like on the demo right away. And it's true, you don't get a lot of replies, but like if you automate these DMs, in the end, like you still get some demos.
So what is the structure? Like, do you introduce yourself first?
No, it's very short message. What I remember is like in the end, like it was just showing the value of the product, and not like not saying that we wanted to sell it to them, like more like just we wanted to introduce the solution to them and see how it could help them, something like that.
Okay.
And the reply rate was very low, I guess, but we still got the demos, and then the goal was to convert like every demo. But once we got the demo, like that's like the part where we need to really convince. Yeah.
A message would look like something like, "Hi, Mark AI will help you generate content 3 times faster. Can we book a demo?" And then send a Calendly link, something like this.
I think it wasn't exactly like that. I think the message was more like getting some information from their profile, like about their company. Most often this, especially for founders, and like just trying to have in one information so we can automate this.
Would you generate the message using Mark Copy?
No.
That would be cool though.
Yeah, it could be cool.
Because how can you automate that then? Because if you have to go profile by profile and check their websites and everything, how can you automate it?
There are some tools who can like just like get the title and get like just some information about the company. I feel like at least the name, and just like because you can know the industry, so you can just like try to have a message that works for all of them.
What? There's tools doing that?
Yeah.
What, can you tell me the names?
We were using we were using like I think it's a French tool. I think it's Relaxi.
And that works for LinkedIn. That works for Twitter.
We only did LinkedIn. I think because Twitter like has some rules where you can't do that too much. And actually, I tried a little bit to do these things, and I got banned like right away. Like Twitter was really not a solution for this. but LinkedIn work. Yeah.
Okay. So you started doing that. Are these tools also helping you finding these people? Because on LinkedIn, to send a message, you need to be connected to them, right? So you need first to connect to them and then send the message.
Yeah, it's like it's in the process of this like lead generation tools. Like they have a request and there's like an automated message right after. I receive some so often now. Like
True, I
it's
also
like when I
get
have
them.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
connection,
How much does it cost to use?
there's probably like a first plan at about like 50 per month, something like that.
50.
Yeah.
But it's worth
Or
it.
maybe there's cheaper ones. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I didn't use this for like 1 year now, 1 year and a half. But yeah, it's worth it. I think at the beginning because you don't want to scale this too much. But just at the beginning when you have zero audience, it can be like a good way to get like the first customers or to validate an idea.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So after that, you started seeing users converting, right? They were go to the demo. The demo was like in video, right? So you actually,
Yeah.
was it you or is it your co-founder that would do?
Yeah, my co-founder was more experienced in this because he had some experience in sales. So like he did most of them, and really like he could convert the founders quite well. Um, and the content writers were always the same objections, you know. So we could see the difference also in the demos.
It's so interesting because you basically had the same product, but you just change your audience, and suddenly you're in business.
Yeah, but it's crazy because like we could have continued for so long trying the same audience and maybe changing the product so that they like it.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah. What made you change? Who had this idea that's like, no, let's first try different audience before.
I think it's just we were still convinced by the product because people were like really giving us some motivation to continue.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And so we just like it's so easy. Like when you use some automated tools like this, automation tools, it's so easy to switch. Like you just have to create a new campaign and just try it. And yeah, so like we just did it like this, and yeah, it worked in a few days. Like we got our first customer.
That's incredible. How did you manage your tasks or your workload? So it's like your co-founder is working more on marketing and you were focused more on building the product, or would you also work on marketing? How do you handle this work?
So at first, the first product, since we were both engineers, like we were both like really focused on the product, building the product, and then like once the product was really good, starting to do some marketing and demo calls and things like that. Here we did a little bit different with the second product. Like my co-founder helped me to build the product like the first maybe 2 weeks, and we took like maybe 30 days to build the MVP. And then after, like he was more focused on trying to find like leads and make some demo calls, and yeah, much less code. And yeah, until we get like the first customers. Yeah.
How did you start developing the product further? Because that was the MVP, right? So you built MVP and you were able to sell it, and then you started adding new features. How did you decide which features to use?
I think the MVP, the problem with the MVP is you always try to build like, at least if you have experience, you try to build features that are not too complicated. And so that was the case. Like you could like, generate long form contents, but without like a proper text editor, for example. So not very easy to use. So the next updates were more like UX, much more like UX. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you know that those were the right updates? You like listen to feedback of your users? Was it like because you are also a user yourself?
Yeah, so the first users, they join, but actually they know they join as early users. So they know the product is not totally finished, and they help us, like they give us feedback about what they want to do. So it helps. And also we check data. Even if we don't have too many users, we can still know which features they use and like which features they don't use at all. And so we know like if they use one feature, maybe we should like double down on this one and make it like
one thing that you also tweeted recently was that we should treat each feature as an MVP, right? So can you expand on that? What does that mean?
Like imagine if we had only like tools to write short form content without the text editor. Building a text editor can be very long if you want to have many features, like if you want to reproduce maybe a Google Docs, for example. And like if you just build a Google Docs and then ship it, it's going to take maybe months, or I don't know, at least many weeks. So in case you should just build a small feature, and then like you will improve the UX, you will improve everything, but at least people can see it, people can judge it, people can give feedback about it. And you can also have the data, like that works if you have more users, but if you have more users, you can have like, I don't know, amplitude or some tools like this to check if they click on the button. If they don't, then you know you need to change the UX, or maybe make something different.
Right.
So like anyway, there will always be many versions of the feature. Mm-hmm. So like just ship one small version and then iterate.
Yeah. So one thing that I also realized, that I totally agree with you, this is the right way to do it. But maybe because of that, because we developers know that we are allowed to do this. We are allowed to release something that is still maybe not super optimized, but we can just release again, and in less than a second, the new code will be everywhere and people will see the new feature. With marketing, it's different, right? Like with marketing, you can try sending a message that is still not very optimized, but that might mean that you have zero conversion, and then you cannot just send another message to update the first one, right? Because they'll be like, okay, this is spam.
What you can try with other people.
Yeah, you can try with other people, but you lost the first one, right? Like it's the same with the launch. If you launch on Product Hunt, you can take your time and do a proper launch. Or if you do a shitty launch, then you need to wait for 6 months until you do another one, right? So that's a very big difference between the approach you take when you're building a product as a developer and when you're marketing your product, right? Is there something else that you didn't work for a really long time as a developer, but you had a lot of experience before, so you build a lot of products. What other differences are there between the developer mindset and the marketing mindset?
I mean, for me, marketing mindset is still a lot about iteration. I agree, like about the way you talk to people is like once you miss someone, once you do something bad with like a lead, you can't get him back. But I see it more like as there's so many possible leads, so many possible users that you can just try again and iterate. And like the problem is more like with the marketing that takes time. Like if you're like, for example, content or creating an audience, like you can't make too many mistakes. Like the decisions you take, like which audience, like on which topic you want to write about, things like this. Like you need to decide it early on, because if you want to switch later, it's going to be difficult and take a long time to like build a new audience. So yeah, these decisions are
like finding your target audience and start building on that. It takes time. Yeah. You need to kind of make sure you don't screw it up from the start. And you're absolutely right. The sending messages, for instance, is something that you can always iterate, especially if you have a big enough market, right? And just like, okay, this startup founder didn't work, but there's another 1,000 that.
And like, so the goal, I think, is just to iterate first on some things, like the audience, the message also. Same for the copy.
Right.
And once you iterate on this, like you take maybe bigger decisions, like, okay, now I'm building an audience on social media that will be focused on this topic. And yeah. But it's quite similar to like building features in that way. Like you take a decision, you take the product into one direction, because like for some reasons, maybe you talk to users and they all agree on one thing. So like you have some research and then you take big decisions, and you can't really go back that easily.
You try to point the ship in the right direction first, and then when you know it's the right direction, you just go full throttle.
Yeah. I think with my first product, that's exactly what I did wrong. Like I just went in all over the place, and
Yeah.
you
Got
just
it.
circle, you go into circle, and you never stop doing wrong things.
So, how much money were you making in this first launch when you launched and you found your audience and you were able to get some people? How much money were you making?
Yeah, so with the second product, like we had maybe 1 month, something like that, a bit more of a private beta, where like we couldn't get like customers. Then we switched. Then we got like one customer, I think in end of July, beginning of August, like 2 years ago. And at the end of August, I think we were close to 1K MRR. So like in 1 month, just like after finding the audience, like we really got like new customers regularly. And same for the following months, like same growth rate. Yeah.
And your strategy for growing was sending messages, right? Did that change in the between?
Yeah, it was mostly to get the first customers, but once we did that, it was mostly like audience. So LinkedIn for my co-founder, and me it was Twitter. And then like we tried to write content, but of course limited time because we were still building the product. And yeah, so SEO was like a long-term goal, and so yeah, social media mostly growing an audience on social media.
And what about now? Do you have more SEO traffic?
Now we have more SEO traffic, but still, I think we're lacking some content. So like we're going to double down on that.
Okay.
I think recently like we had a much better growth, so like we don't need to try to find huge things to solve. So we can focus a bit more on the content. Yeah.
So now you just reached 13K. So in 2 years, right? Was it took 2 years to reach 13K?
Like this product is just like actually no, this product is I said 2 years, but yeah, this product is 1 year old. Yeah.
1 year old. So in 1 year you got to 13K, which is really really amazing. Most of that money goes to you, right? Or do you like reinvest it? Do you have any costs?
Yeah, I think it's very different from a solo founder, like in terms of structure, just legal structure, because like all the money is reinvesting in the company, and like if we pay, like we still pay ourselves salaries now, but like quite low, and if we can't pay a lot because like we have more taxes, I think, than if you have a legal structure
Right.
for one person. So yeah, the goal is just to reinvest everything, and we've made some hires also.
What did you
like
hire? What kind of?
So like at first we started with someone that has really like two big skills, which are like design and marketing. So it's really great because like we could really do both social media and like have a much better design because like we're not designers. And then like we had a second hire, which was same like kind of marketing for emails and social media as well.
Okay. Are they full time or part time?
No, it's part time. Actually, it's like apprenticeship contract, so it's yeah.
Like, but why though? Like, you're making 13K. I mean, both of you could be making already what 5K or something, which is quite a good salary already. But you decide to reinvest. Why is that? Because you think that you can really make this into a big company? Is that your goal?
I think so. Yeah, it's the goal. I think the goal is to have a. I don't know if it's a big company. Like the goal is to have a company that like has a good like a high revenue. So like that's the goal. Like the MRR is a goal. The size of the company we'll see. Like that's depends what we need, but we really want to get there. Like of course as fast as possible. So if we need to hire, like we will do it, and it doesn't matter if like it means like lower salary or something, but we still have growth rate, so we know we can go higher. So yeah, and actually I feel most people like they decide to maybe like just not reinvest and take the money for themselves because they want to keep the freedom of not having employees or being able to move. But we're still able to do that because we have like remote work, async work. So I don't feel like we're really have less freedom than if we were not doing that.
Yeah, makes sense. What are your conversion rates? Like people that come to your website, target users, how many convert?
So the conversion rate is like now we kind of have a new system which is like Teams, and the Teams is like close, like a bit lower than 3% conversion rate from free trial to paid. So and like actually it's getting, it was a bit better before, but then we had the product hunt launch, and now we have so many free trials every day, but it's very hard to convert them because they come from kind of everywhere and not very qualified leads. So conversion rate is kind of decreasing a little bit.
Okay, so 3% from free trial, which is it's not super huge, right?
It's not huge. I mean, I think it's still difficult to figure out what's a good one after 1 year, because everything I find is benchmark from like startups that have been there for years and years. Right. And they tell you like, yeah, it should be like 7-10%.
Yeah.
But it takes time to get there, right? So like what should it be after 1 year? I have really no idea.
And how much do they pay you per month?
On average, it's like about like $70 per month.
Okay, but you also have a very good margins, and 70 is quite a good amount.
Yeah.
So if you have a lower conversion rate but higher margins, right? Like then higher basket, then it's.
And I think it's the goal when you grow. When you grow, you start to either increase prices or like maybe add some custom plans. So like we just started to do this. It's just the beginning. But of course, like it will really change like the average value per customer.
Wow, amazing. Kilian, this is really, really interesting. It's been amazing to learn more about your journey. As a last question, are you living the dream? You know, that entrepreneurial dream that you had, the reason why you were so excited to pick up that call, is this all you had imagined, or you'd prefer, okay, I now I want to go work for someone else?
It's not like I imagined, but I still love it. Like it's just for different reasons. Like what I loved about startups and why I wanted to create a startup was kind of build a great product, having like many people using it. So that's already the case, and I would love to see that. Like I feel so happy to see like the map with customers all over the world. But the thing I saw differently was the fact of like a startup team working in an office and like kind of the happy vibe in the office.
Yeah.
Now my dream is like actually no, it's like remote, like totally remote and asynchronous work like now.
Yeah.
So like it's different from what I thought, but it's great.
Kilian, thank you so much for taking your time. It was such a pleasure to learn from your journey. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great to discuss about it, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I'll share your Twitter profile and the Mark Copy website on the show notes. And if you want me to share anything else, I will also do that.
Awesome.
And I'm sure that a lot of people here would love to try out the product, because I will definitely try it out. Looks really, really cool. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Thiago.
And this is the end of another WB interview. If you are a new listener, there's many other interviews for you to listen at wannabe-entrepreneur.com. I've interviewed many indie hackers from multiple backgrounds and with lovely and amazing journeys that you can learn from. On Tuesdays, I release my own episodes where I narrate my own indie hacking journey, and if you want to know more about myself and about my journey, make sure to listen to that too. We also have a community for bootstrappers. We have bootstrappers from all over the world trying to reach our ramen profitability. It costs $10 per month to join, and we have events, we have an accelerator, we have many interesting features, and you'll be also supporting this podcast. So if you want to do that, go again to the website, the link will be in the description. And last but not least, we also have amazing WB merch on store.wannabe-entrepreneur.com. This was another Wannabe Entrepreneur. See you next time.